All right, guys. Michael Hicks here with Mike Does on the Build Unique podcast, where we will discuss weekly building a unique lifestyle, building a unique business, and building unique lives for ourselves that allow us to be financially free. I'm here today with Mike from Mike Will Travel. Before we talk to Mike, let's listen to a word from our sponsor. All right, I'd like to thank our sponsor of this week's video, Wander Chat Vacation Rentals here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. For all your unique vacation rental needs, we have water properties, we have mountain properties, we have shipping containers, A-frames, lake houses. We got you covered on your unique spaces. So come on down and see us. Visit us at wanderchat.com or on TikTok and Instagram at wanderchat. All right, so Mike, you're part of the content creator community. You're part of the creator community. What got you started and led you down this path, this unique pathway to a career that 10 years ago we would have never thought imaginable?
Yes, sir. Well, thanks first of all for having me on the show. Pumped to be here. And that's definitely a long journey, a long story. Probably started about like 6 years ago.
Tell us about Mike first, and then
Yeah, sure. So I go by Mike Will Travel. My actual name is Mike Ianetta, and predominantly a YouTuber. I showcase unique Airbnbs, unique spaces like your container homes, tiny homes, tree houses, all different types of wacky stuff. But that's my primary thing right now. And I also have a marketing agency where I help these same, Airbnb owners just market their places better on social media. So that's what I do. How I got there, definitely a journey. Probably started about 5-6 years ago. I was in like college and university, and I was studying abroad. And so I was based out of London, and very easy, very cheap to get around Europe. It's, $50, $100 round trip, plane tickets to go and hop around the region. And I just always became interested in like hotels and the hospitality industry and just traveling in general. Just kind of always had a passion, an interest in that. And at this time, this is really early in I hate the term, but the influencer market, the influencer space, where people were starting to reach out to hotels and travel companies, getting stuff for free in exchange for content. And so I thought, I'll try and do the same. And at this time, I wasn't even on YouTube. TikTok wasn't a thing. I was just on Instagram, maybe 10,000-ish followers. And I started pitching hotels. But what I did differently is I, just provided more value. And I'll talk about that more later. But instead of just the usual photos and, hey, I'll give you an Instagram post and blah, 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 I was like, hey, I'll do all the normal stuff you're getting pitched on, but I'll also give you free marketing consultation, like actual value that's tangible, and give you feedback on your website and your Instagram and your Facebook page and this and that. And I got a lot of good answers for that. I was basically able to travel essentially for free over the span of 5 or 6 months all across Europe, staying at these hotels, and that's how I built my marketing agency. And so that was kind of like phase one. Moving another 2 years or so further down the road, when I got more started on YouTube, it really just kind of came down to me meeting a couple of really incredibly talented YouTubers, and they really just introduced me to the space. And this one guy, Bobby in particular, was really influential on me getting started there. And it's initially started as a unique hotel channel. And I realized that was not going to be scalable. I was going to go broke trying to travel to all these unique hotels around the world, because there's lots of luxury hotels, but there's not something like unique hotels that are very viral worthy that are going to take off on YouTube. And eventually I was just, honestly about ready to throw in the towel. And I was literally in this igloo in Finland. I just finished shooting this hotel video. I was like, this is not going to work. I'm going to go broke. This stuff isn't going to go viral. And I happened to go on Airbnb, and this is when Airbnb had just released their like unique filters. They had the tiny homes, I think container homes at the time. I was like, wait, why the heck am I not, shooting Airbnbs? And I went on YouTube and I searched in Airbnb tours, and there was a bunch of videos taken off. I was like, I should do Airbnb tours. So that's the condensed version. Still quite long, but the condensed version.
So you're taking the marketing experience and then applying it to the creator experience and combine the two and made a career out of it. Yeah. And you mentioned a couple things that kind of struck with me. You didn't say, I started YouTube a year and a half ago and I just blew up. Mm-mm. Or you didn't say, I just did this on my own. One of the things about building a business and a lifestyle is relying on those that have done it before you and mentors. And you mentioned Bobby and the impact that he had helping you get started.
Oh yeah.
that's one thing that I've always leaned on was the mentors and those that came before me, because 9 times out of 10 there's somebody that's already done what you're doing. They've already made the mistakes, and they're able to propel you much faster than going out and doing it on your own.
Oh yeah,
And it's not an overnight thing.
absolutely not. I couldn't agree more with the mentors. I've had mentors still do to this day for every, I feel like, different stage or different career path in my life. My earliest mentor still is to this day is my dad. Shout out dad. He's did really well in business and just always went to him in the early days and everything. I had my agency as well. I had 2 or 3 mentors who had these huge marketing agencies. I always went to them for advice. And then now with YouTube, the biggest one, his name is Bobby Brisky. He goes by Living Bobby on YouTube, and really big. He's at, I think, almost like 3 million subs now on YouTube. And he just kind of, I from day one was like, this is, I think, a big piece of advice when looking to collaborate with someone bigger than you, another creator or a business, is just always think about how you can provide them value. Because if you're coming to them, you're significantly smaller. I didn't even have a YouTube channel at this time. So what did I have to offer Bobby? He had 2-3 million subscribers at this time, would have really no issue getting next to anything he wants in travel space. So what I did is I basically got him a bunch of free hotels set up in Bali in the Maldives through contacts of mine, because I still have my marketing agency. I was like, hey man, come out. This is cool, villa in Bali. He shot a video there, also in the Maldives. And after that, I just gave him all this free value. He then started coaching me. And when I saw him shooting a video actually in person, I just saw like how passionate he was about YouTube and just how enthusiastic. And he's telling me all about this lifestyle he built and the freedom. I was like hooked. And ever since that day, it's just basically been an open book and really influential. So also shout out to Bobby and a couple other YouTubers, very influential in the career path for sure.
Yeah. So, you hit a nail there. A good key point. When you are starting out, you got to think about what you do have to offer. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times you're giving, what you have to offer because that's all you have to give, So those contacts are so important, and you continue to build them throughout your whole life. I'm still relying on business mentors and individuals that helped me through high school. Here at 41, that are still have an impact in my life, and I'm able to call and say, hey, what would you do here, or how would you do this, and but now I'm also able to bring value to them in whether that be a referral or another contact that I've made somewhere else in the world, and help them with their business as well. So
absolutely, I think it's really the whole concept of like giving with no expectation of anything in return.
100%. That's,
I think, really key, and also like going out for the people that basically like you want to be them in 5, 10, 20 something years. I mean, again, keep using Bobby as an example of another mentor, Conrad. He runs this like really successful travel company, has a beautiful wife, 2 like adorable, I think 3 now, adorable kids and everything. I'm like, I want to be like Conrad in like 10 years. So kind of like just looking up to these people at different stages of their lives, but staying close to them and kind of visualizing yourselves through them, I think is also really important thing when you're looking for mentors. So
right.
Yeah. Get a mentor.
Love it.
It helps.
Definitely. If you don't know, ask. That's huge for me. But so you're traveling the world, you're traveling the states, and staying in these unique stays now. Mm-hmm. What are the things that stand out to you the most about the best of the best, the most unique stays out there? What really sets those apart from the traditional Airbnbs or vacation rentals?
Yeah, definitely. There's always definitely a bunch of factors. One is absolutely really has to be unique if it wants to be featured on my channel and my social media. It's one thing if it's just like a nice luxury cabin. I always think like this stereotypical like log cabin, and sure, even if it goes for like $2,000 per night and it's insanely nice and this and that, that's cool. There's tens of thousands of those on Airbnb. And that's great, but it has to perform well and have that viral factor for me. And really the only types that have that are the ones that are like the tree houses, the container homes, the A-frames, the ones that are just different and have that wow factor. So that's kind of step number 1. Step number 2 is like location, I think, as well. Just having like the mountaintop view or being on a lake or just, similar or at least close to a relatively nice city. So you're not like in the middle of nowhere. Location's also like really big. And then for me, I haven't exactly coined a phrase for this, but I'd say having like that let's call it like the Instagram angle for now. What I mean by that is basically every place has at least like one exterior shot with the drone or the photo that's just like wow, like just elicits that response. And that for me, I think is like the YouTube thumbnail. YouTube thumbnail is very important. Even if you make an amazing video, if your thumbnail sucks, nobody's gonna click on it. Same thing for your Airbnb listing. Your first photo on your Airbnb listing has to be amazing. And when you're scrolling down all these other options in the area of the Airbnb, it has to like make people like stop. It has to be a scroll stopper. So stuff like that, I would say. And probably one of the last things, and I could probably keep going on this for a while, but this is, I think, probably the one that's missed the most, I would say. It's just the guest experience. And I think to expand upon that, it's having things like handwritten notes and little gifts and things like that. Just anything that's remotely personalized for the guest, I think is extremely important. Because there have been a lot to Airbnbs where it just feels like it's like another hotel or like a turntable business, or they have IKEA furniture or stuff like that. There's only a select few where you can tell they go above and beyond, where they actually want to work with me. They leave me, notes. They work with like local businesses. They bring in local goods, stuff from local coffee shops. They have nice guest books, nice guidebooks, stuff like that. They just kind of go the extra mile in terms of the hospitality experience that also really stands out to me. And kind of almost makes me remember the host more than just the place too. If you have a nice guest book and maybe the about page, you're like, hey, this is me and my wife, or me and my husband. This is our family. We've decided to build these Airbnbs and share them with you. I remember those people way more than just like an Airbnb management company.
The host is setting up an experience from day one when they're communicating, when they're presenting the guidebook, their gift package, down to the packaging on the items in the unit themselves. I know a lot of hosts will market and brand their items throughout the units, but once you get past that, what are the next things?
Like what else that's more personalized?
Well, what are the things to do on the property?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like amenities and stuff too, obviously are always great. I mean, you can never go wrong with like the fire pit, the hammocks. I know hot tubs are a controversial topic among hosts. I know a lot of guests like them, but I know they're tough to clean and this and that and everything, and that's definitely also nice. But yeah, I think I've been to lots of places that are just generally high end and have great amenities and stuff like that, but a lot of them strike out in terms of the personalization factor and leaving behind the goods and just talking to the guests as if they were actual humans, not just another number on their bottom line for their monthly revenue or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
and that I think a lot of that might get lost. I'm thinking back to when we've communicated with creators. A lot of that's not through a platform, so you're not going through the motions like you would with a traditional guest.
Yeah.
And you're communicating via Instagram or Messenger or whatever that means is. So that's something for us to think about as hosts is. We're still wanting to create that same experience for the creator because that's what they're conveying when they put the video out there.
No, that's important. Like I even have sometimes when hosts will try to like extra stuff for me just because like I'm the creator. I'm like, hey, like I appreciate that, but like I want to showcase what it is for like the normal paying guest. Like I want like to showcase if you were actually to book this place because of my video, this is the exact experience you're gonna get. Which is also like it will look bad for the host if whatever they left behind a gifts basket or chocolate or whatever, and then someone comes and books it, they're like, yo, where's my chocolate basket at? Like Mike said there's gonna be a chocolate basket, and we both look bad. So like show me the real experience.
No, that's a good point. And we'll do that sometimes, when we've worked with creators in the past is, we have a charcuterie experience and a wine experience, that are add-ons for the guest.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we would leave that for the creator to where they can still show, hey, this is available.
Gotcha.
But not necessarily included. So yeah, that's interesting. Those are good points. When you're entering a property but let's take a step back to when you're contacting. I'm sure at this point you're not contacting hosts; they're contacting you, right?
I'd say it's a mix because I would say yes, I do get a lot of inbound requests, but I would say 80% of them I either decline or I'm just not interested. Because again, I'm very picky about what I shoot, and a lot of them are just again the kind of just average places. Sorry, but like just not of interest to me, or like they're nice, again luxurious, but they're not like unique or like viral worthy. So I'd say actually still the majority of my stuff is outbound, because also I can talk on this more later. I'm very good at organizing trips. I try to bunch my shoots together. So like right now at the time of recording this, I've been doing a trip throughout Tennessee and the Carolinas and Georgia, and I'm shooting 15 spots in about 20 days. I'm trying to be like really efficient, get a lot of content that lasts me for about 3 or 4 months. So it's way easier for me to shoot a bunch of spots all in one area. Logistically, obviously saves on money too, for stuff like flights and rental cars and food, versus like, shooting all over the country randomly and flying here and flying there. Like it would be really expensive and extremely inefficient. So I usually really, save the places and like wish lists. Like these are the ones in Georgia that have either reached out to me or I'm interested in. I try to, really stay on top of that. And trip organization is very key. Very key.
Okay. So you've said that you vet and then you kind of call out about 80%. You have a vibe. You've created a brand, and it's important that you stick to that. And that's kind of what you're doing with that. When you get to a property, I'm sure it's not always as it seems. What are the things that you see when you hit that property that you're like, oh man, I can't show this, or that make you cringe as you walk by, or this isn't cool, or
I like this question. Okay, this is one, I'll definitely want to mention this. A lot of places, hosts, please do this. Please have a sign outside of your property, especially if you're on a busy road. Because I can't tell you how many times I'll just blow past a place because either Google Maps, like it takes me to the wrong place, or there's no cell reception, so I can't quite tell. And it looks like someone's driveway, and I blow right past it. Right. There's just at least half a dozen times I've wasted like another hour trying to freaking find the place. If you just had a nice little sign, yo, here's my Airbnb, so much easier. That's one minor thing. Other things, I would say a couple of times I've had it when it's just like, like marks on the wall, had like a hole in the wall once, or like black scratches or stuff like that. I'm like, ooh, I gotta, cut the angle on that and not show that a couple of times. I'd say like stuff like that has stuck out. I get this a lot on hot tubs. A lot of them have like covers and there's like mold on them sometimes, or just like hot tubs aren't always like the cleanest of things. Right. So I have to kind of like stay on top of that. I would say like that's one. What else? Those are probably like the biggest ones. I mean, I haven't really had a bad like this place is extremely unclean and like this is going to be an issue place. I haven't really had like a nightmare situation, I would say. All of them have been relatively smooth. So, but yeah, thankfully. Knock on wood. Right. Knock on wood.
When you're looking at a place online that you're going to reach out to, what are you taking into account and maybe secretly judging or thinking about this that would make you say, that's not for me, or that is for me?
Yeah, so I kind of put it through a few things. So I usually start the search, again, like location based. I'm definitely learning more about this. The best time of the year to go to certain parts of the country or to go to certain countries internationally. Like I went to the Midwest this past late March and April. I was like, oh, it's spring. I'll be fine. There shouldn't be any snow or horrible idea. There was still snow in April. All the trees were still dead. I was like really bad decision. So I've gotten I think much better now, like timing like fall foliage and going to places when they're warmer out and not freezing my butt off and stuff like that. So I start with the location. That's one thing I do, and I try to map out my content plan. Okay, how many videos do I need like minimum? Do I need like a quicker trip just to load up? Maybe do like 10 places or do 15. Or go crazy, like I'm going to Canada soon, for an example. I'm shooting about like 25 places there. I'm kind of going crazy. So yeah, it's like the location based, then the duration. And a big thing is then, kind of different unique categories. So I kind of want to have a nice diverse blend on my trips. And so off the top of my head, obviously the big ones are like container homes, tiny homes, A-frame cabins, tree houses, and I'll just call it like wacky slash modern. There's a lot of ones I'll still shoot that are like, ultra modern, sleek, Scandinavian, or just like wacky. So then I try to, use the Airbnb filters, search in the areas. Okay, can I maybe do a fourth of the places be container homes, a fourth of them be tiny homes, a fourth of them be this, et cetera, et cetera. So I try to also kind of, sort out like by category, so have a nice like blend, because I don't want to become just like a pure tiny home channel or become a pure container. I want a nice, diverse blend.
Reach more people.
Brings in different types of audiences too, because a person who's like obsessed with container homes may not necessarily watch my tiny home video. That's okay, because I don't want to become just the container home guy. So doing stuff like that, and then the way I actually, go about like finding these places and kind of like narrowing it down and looking for them, really like two main ways. Honestly, one is just straight up Google search, like top, most unique Airbnbs in Georgia, most unique Airbnbs in Tennessee, et cetera. That there's always tons of blogs and websites that have these lists of, top 10, top 20 places. That helps immensely. And then Airbnb very recently, I don't know, 2-3 months ago, came out with these new categories, which helped my job immensely, because now they have even more specific, unique categories. They have like the OMG category, which is like the most unique of the unique. They have tiny homes, they have container homes. That also makes my life like way easier. And it comes down to basically batching the content together, and then obviously making sure it's a good place. Do they have high quality photos? That's like a non-negotiable. Like no iPhone pictures. You can tell. I know there's very half a second I can tell if it's taken on an iPhone or a professional photo. It's very clear to me. So obviously professional photos, good reviews, and also this is the other big thing. And then I'll cap this off is do they have marketing? Because that's another big thing I've learned. If they don't have an Instagram account or Facebook or a website or like nothing, like they're only on Airbnb and that's the only place you can find them, that'll make it tougher for them to even answer me, because it makes it more difficult for me to actually contact them. And two, they may just not be as open to working with creators like myself if they don't do any form of social media marketing or really any marketing at all. So it definitely makes me more interested if they have existing, social media feeds, because then I know, okay, these people believe in marketing and they're way more likely to want to work with me, and they may also potentially become maybe a future paid marketing client of mine, because I do have my agency. I do lots of consulting outside of YouTube. So that's another big thing I would say. So yeah, that was a lot, but I have a whole process.
So, you mentioned batching and traveling and doing 15 here in 20 days and 25 in Canada. So what do you do the rest of the time?
Yeah. So again, basically I try to, again, batch stuff together so I can then take off, 3-4 months and go somewhere. And so all my businesses are, can be operated remotely. I don't have to be anywhere. So then I basically just post up somewhere for 2 or 3 months at a time, and just kind of travel more for pleasure. And I work out of a co-working space or my Airbnb or, whatever. So right now at this stage of my life, I'm 26. I almost said 25. I'm 26 now. Jeez.
You're getting old.
Yeah, I'm getting so old. Mexico City is becoming a bit of a home base for me right now. I really love Mexico City. First spent some time down there earlier this year in 2022. One of my best friends lives down there right now, and he invited me down, and now it's just kind of turned to a bit of a home base. I have my apartment building down there I love to rent from. I have a gym now, personal trainer, co-working space, all the cafes. I have a girlfriend down there now. She lives in Mexico City. So kind of, I would say whenever I'm not on the road shooting, I'm either in Mexico City or at home. I'm originally from New Jersey, visiting family, or I'm traveling more, internationally for pleasure. I was just in Europe for a bit, and I'm hoping to go to Asia next year. So kind of a nice mix of just downtime and working remotely from some other spot. So,
all right. So you've created this lifestyle to where you've created this lifestyle that's giving you the freedom to travel and the freedom to live anywhere you want virtually, run your business virtually. What is it that drives you and that has driven you from 5 or 6 years ago at 20 years old? What was it that propelled you to this point and that continues to propel you forward?
Yeah, I would say it's just, I mean, it sounds a bit cheesy, but just kind of continually trying to push myself out of my comfort zone because that's just what gets me up in the morning is going to these new Airbnbs, traveling to these new countries, meeting new people, new food, new culture, all stuff like that that really just excites me. And I still have been very grateful to travel quite a bit all over the U.S., all over the world, to know that like it's there's just so much out there to see and do still. And I'm again I'm 26 and I still feel like I have I want to do as much as I possibly can now, get the travel bug out of me, see as much of the world I can, as many Airbnbs as possible. Before I had the wife and the kids and the mortgage and all that stuff, which I definitely will get to. That's still definitely in my plans in the future. But right now, I want to keep traveling and having these new experiences now. So yeah, I'd say that, and then also just generally, I'm just very again grateful I was able to basically combine all my passions I feel into one job. Because again, basically it feels like my dream job. I feel like I have gotten there, which not a lot of people can say. So again, I'm very grateful to be in this position. But all my passions, one of my first ever career interests was to be actually an architect. I was young and I saw these big skyscrapers in New York City, and I was like, oh, I was like, I don't know, 12. I was like, I want to build a skyscraper, or something. And I actually realized, oh, you have to go to school for like an extra 5 years and be really good at math. And I sucked at math. I was like, all right, that's not going to happen. So it was like architecture for a while. And then obviously I love marketing. I have my agency and I actually majored in marketing in college. And I've just kind of always been obsessed with marketing trends and new platforms and, case studies, stuff like that. So marketing's always been big for me. Content creation then. Again, I've taught myself, completely self-taught. Photography, videography. Videography especially too is scary, man. I've only been doing this for about 2 years in YouTube, like just learning how to edit, how to balance a gimbal. If any of my videographers listen to this, they will know what I mean. Balancing a gimbal for the first time is a very scary experience. Doing stuff like that, and then just my love for travel. Hotels, Airbnbs, traveling around. Basically, those 3 or 4 pillars I have combined into my job now, and it's just being able to live that every day. Just again gets me out of bed every morning, and then onto the next thing.
So going back to college and marketing. So when I went to college, that was 99, 2000. YouTube and content creation were not a thing. Is that kind of going into college where you thought you would go, or going into marketing? Where did you think that marketing would lead you then?
Oh man, yeah. So I was college was an interesting time for me. So to go back a little bit further, I kind of got the entrepreneurial bug first when I was 17. I was in high school. And I started a clothing line with a buddy of mine. He was, it was, I'm going to say this. It was called Pineapple Short and Board. Yeah, cringe. I'm cringing so much right now. But it's basically, we basically want to be Hollister. We're basically straight up copying Hollister. It was really dumb. We're 17. Go easy on me. And we were creating like board shorts and like little skateboards and stuff like that. And my business partner at the time literally looked like Justin Bieber. Like imagine like the long flowing blonde hair, California surf boy. That was my business partner. Anyways, we launched this thing and we did like a Kickstarter campaign. And we raised like $5,000 for this to kind of fund the early stages of the business, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a ton of money, but like when you're 17 and it's your first, I was like, this is freaking cool. Like I had spent the whole summer building this and we got some traction. I was like, I want to do more of this. And so then I graduated high school and that was like, I want to do bigger things, kind of moved on from that. But I was kind of split between two paths. One was like, okay, I want to do more entrepreneurial things, but I don't know quite yet what that is. And the other half of me is I went to Fordham University in New York City. And Fordham, for those of you who don't know, is extremely Wall Street focused, very finance driven. Everybody who goes there wants to be like a finance bro is the term we use. They want to work and and basically be the Wolf of Wall Street. They want to be Jordan Belfort. And I had that same dream for a while, and I was very it took me down a dark path, honestly, focused on just pure money and material things. That's like all I cared about. And luckily, I got out of that because I took a finance class and I almost failed out of it because I sucked at math again. I'm really not that bad at math. I know I'm hitting on myself so bad. I just didn't want to calculate loans and appreciation all day. I just realized not only was I extremely not passionate about finance whatsoever, I just didn't want my own job to be focused on just making rich people more wealthy, because what good does that bring the world? I just wasn't even good at it. Like, I wasn't even going to be that successful at it. So then I began to focus more on marketing, and I held a bunch of internships. I interned at a company that was on Shark Tank. They were a startup for a while. Worked at a AOL when they merged with Verizon. So I got to kind of see this whole just crazy corporate disarray, like merging these companies, people getting fired, all this stuff, which again further pushed me away from the corporate lifestyle. And then while I was launching these other businesses, kind of my last ditch effort was like, okay, maybe I'll try and get a stable job. Maybe I'll try the whole corporate thing. Is I interned at Expedia my junior year summer. This was after I gotten back from study abroad and kind of the early days of now Mike will travel. And Expedia was like, it is still a good company. They set me up very well as an intern. They flew me out to Seattle to like do training as an intern, paid me very well again as an intern. Was not full time, and I was like top floor of the Empire State Building, like catered lunches, like great people. But the job itself sucked. Like I won't get into specifics, but like it was very boring, monotonous work. I remember on literally the second day of this internship, I remember this very vividly. I was taking like the same subway line to get there and walking down the same street and sitting next to the same guy called Jake. Sorry, Jake. Love you, Jake. I just remember sitting down, like putting my bag there. I was like, this sucks. I was like, I don't want to do this crap every day. I was like, I don't want to just have this, monotonous routine of having this job. And yeah, I didn't last much longer there. And I vowed myself to go all in on my business, which at that time was really just my marketing agency. I had, a little bit of a following on Instagram. I was way more hotel focused and like didn't really have a clear direction yet in terms of my content. But I went all in on my marketing agency, which at the time was doing hotel marketing, and I hit a full-time income my senior year. That was my only goal. Everybody else was kind of partying as their last year of college. They all had jobs secure at that time. So all my friends are going out partying constantly and this and that. I'm just head down working, and I hit my goal. And I then moved to Bali, Indonesia, like a week after I graduated college. I moved across the world to again further kind of push myself out of my comfort zone. And Bali, it's definitely changed now. I mean, it still is. It's kind of like the mecca of remote work and the travel lifestyle. I was like, I want to go there, and I did it, and I hit that goal. And I have never looked back onto finance or really anything else in college. College didn't learn a whole lot. I was very self-taught. So
yeah, if you're like me and you go to college, this is kind of what was expected.
Yeah.
And you go off with this unclear path of what the world wants you to do, not necessarily what you're wanting to do. I went to college to be a game warden or a park ranger. Because I love the outdoors and I love being outdoors.
Cool.
But once I got there and saw, you're doing this, you're going to get sent here, and I was like, that is not for me. So I changed it up real quick.
Definitely pros and cons, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you talked about money, and Expedia was great, and the pay was probably great, and probably would have been a lot more if you'd went on full time. And but we're not out here for the money. I mean, it's a byproduct a lot of times, but the money is not what drives me. To me, it's the experiences and being able to do something different every day.
Absolutely.
And create something for everybody else to enjoy.
Yeah.
It's just rewarding.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I think it's the traveling and the new experiences as well, especially when you're traveling internationally. I think what did it for me as well was when I moved to Bali and I saw how cheap it was there. Southeast Asia is an incredibly cheap region if you're making dollars. And I was seeing my college buddies graduate, and they're paying like $2,000-$3,000 a month for these like crappy studio apartments in New York. I was like, are you kidding me? I moved to Bali and I was paying like $500 a month for a villa with like a maid and a pool and this and that. I'm like, I'm never going back, man. I was like, I need to keep traveling. It really opens up your eyes, not just in terms of just pure money. of what else is out there outside of your bubble. So
So do you see that as a lifestyle that a family could live if they were homeschooling? And I mean, is that something that's doable?
are you asking for yourself? Are you gonna go?
Maybe I might have a friend. I mean, that's the thing. We want to give our kids these experiences, and then you sit here and you feel like, man, if it wasn't for school, we could do this, or
I think it's entirely possible. I know lots of families actually who do it. I can name at least 3 or 4 families just off the top of my head who are almost constantly traveling, or have at least done it for a good portion. Again, I go back to one of my mentors, Conrad. I think his kid's like 2 now, and the kid's already been to like 15 or 20 countries or something crazy like that. It's pretty wild, but and that's definitely something I will ingrain in my own children someday. Is I definitely want to give them those experiences early on, just to see more what's out there in the world. And yeah, I mean it's definitely a different path, but I think again college is definitely good for certain people, makes sense for certain careers. But I think kind of zoomed out version, it really just trains you to work for someone else. That is really, in my opinion, the ultimate goal of what college is which makes sense. You're trying to get a job, you're trying to work at a big company. If you're trying to do something entrepreneurial, it's not always necessarily the best fit. What I will say, on the flip side, what college did give me is it did not really give me much in terms of a learning perspective. It did give me learning more social skills and having more stability, and giving me basically 4 years in an amazing city. I was in New York City. It was a great networking opportunity and getting internships, met lots of cool people. It gave me basically the stability and the resources to figure out what I wanted to do with my life and my businesses. So looking back on that, that was definitely a major pro. So there's everybody's a different situation. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. You take each experience that you have through life and apply it to where you are to now.
Absolutely.
Because something about everything that we've done, or everything that I've done in my past, has given me certain skill sets and pushed me in a certain direction. So while you're at college, when I was in college, I was sitting here figuring up costs on building houses, and I wasn't doing the homework that I should have been doing.
Sure.
But that's the thing to me. If you want to go out into marketing, go take marketing classes. And go to a trade school and check out the marketing classes. You don't have to have archery and PE to drive down this career path. And that's what college was to me, was a lot of waste to get the core classes that I needed. But again, it's building the social skills. It's also building a network. I'm sure you have connections from college that you still call on occasion.
No, I think it's like the internships thing as well. Again, that's another thing. Piece of advice, not just the mentors, but also internships. I held probably 4 or 5 different internships in college, which taught me early on and gave me a leg up to know, one, what I was good at, which definitely was not finance, and 2, more importantly, like what I'm passionate about, And so I learned that basically came out of college already knowing generally, obviously not exactly, but generally at least like the industry and the relative type of job I want to do, versus you get an entry level job and you're stuck in it for 2 years, and then you're 24, 25, and like, I actually hate this now. It's a little later down the road to, get internships early on, get experience as early as you can, definitely.
So what's the end goal? Where does Mike want to be in a few years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? And why do you keep doing what you're doing? How is that pushing you towards that goal?
Yeah, definitely, man. I thought about this a lot. So again, obviously, if you haven't noticed by now, I love to travel, but at the same time, I realize I cannot do this forever. I can't, do this when I'm older, be traveling nonstop for like 6 months, like I do sometimes, or this, or if I have other responsibilities. So kind of the next phase for me, I'm gonna call it the Mike will build phase. So what I have now is obviously Mike will travel. Mike will build is really when I want to have my own Airbnbs. That's definitely a big goal of mine. As I've traveled now to over 100 and 150, something like that, Airbnbs, and I know what works, what doesn't work. I'm incredibly passionate about it. I want to have my own land, my own Airbnb some days. That's definitely a big thing. Just kind of get into real estate in general. There's a lot of other people I look up to in the space and I respect, and a couple other mentors who not only have their own Airbnbs, they're also investing in real estate. So I definitely want to do that. And I think kind of the next phase, like I would still do some Airbnb tours, but again, I recognize I can't just be shooting Airbnb tours forever. Is I want to document my own builds. That's another part of YouTube that really interests me immensely. I know lots of other YouTubers who document their builds. That's also a very viral, worthy portion of YouTube. And I think it would also kind of give me the ability to show my personality a little bit more in the videos. It's tough for my current videos because people at the end of the day, you have to realize this: they're coming for the Airbnb. They're not coming for Mike. I mean, like at least 95% of them, unless they're like they're my super loyal subscribers and they watch every single videos. Most people clicking on, definitely the majority, are there for the Airbnbs. They don't probably know me. They don't really care. They just want to tour the container home. Versus I feel the build videos, I'm actually talking to the camera more. My current videos just kind of like narration, me talking very briefly, but mostly focused on the home. The build videos, it's more like documenting this entire process. And it's my job to make those videos as entertaining as possible. Basically sit in front of this camera with all this construction going in the background. Okay, how can I make this like interesting? And that really excites me, like kind of making that different type of content. So kind of like doing that, I would say, and I have dozens of other ideas, man. Everything from podcasts to email lists to other digital businesses to courses. I mean, I have a bunch of different stuff I want to eventually tackle down. But I think it's just kind of getting a bit more of a home base when that time is right, and then really focusing on that next phase, which is Mike will build. So
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So that's we kind of with my YouTube, it's Mike does, and I've tried to leave it broad to where, okay, Mike can do this or this or this. And I've talked about weight loss. I've talked about hiking and backpacking and different builds. And, that's been one of my goals is to, to document a full build. And man, it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
absolutely.
like, always having a camera there when they're doing this and this. And for somebody that's been building homes for 25 years, 22 years, I don't think about all the steps that somebody that's never built a home before wants to see and hear.
Very fair.
And they don't, necessarily think of. I don't necessarily think of what the viewer might be having questions about. So it's been tough to kind of, what's like ordinary to me and simple. Somebody else has had that question like, well, how do you do this? And I'm like, well, you just do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
So, now I have to, next video, I have to dig in deeper on that. And so, I've gotten several that are kind of beginning, rough in, maybe 4 videos for a whole build. But, you could really take and have months of content for one build
absolutely,
if you drove into every little detail.
You would have hours and hours.
So,
and I think it's also pushed me in this direction because I get so many comments from people clearly don't research it well enough and they think I own these Airbnbs. I get this all the time. And they ask me just like super specific questions. The most common one is, what does this cost to build? Which drives me freaking crazy. I'm like, I don't know. I don't own these places. It's like that. It's like square footage. And I get like super specific ones. Like, why is there no closet in that second floor bedroom? And like, how did you build the foundation on that side? I'm like, dude, I don't know. But it's my own place and I can answer all those questions because it's actually my own build and like educate these people more and hopefully, most importantly, provide them with some value if they want to build something similar on their own.
So kind of going to that and getting the questions like, how do you keep it like, here's the line, what's too far and what's not? Because, there's a lot of questions that are asked of me that I'm like, that's, it's really none of your business. I don't feel like that's something that's a financial issue or a financial matter that if I feel like it's personal and I don't want to disclose it or, with the rentals, are people digging into your personal life or are they, when you're out there and in front of millions of people, you get those that are not the most pleasant comments and how do you deal with that or are you seeing that?
Yeah, I don't get like a lot of like hate comments, I would say. That's but
no, not necessarily.
No. I think so I think I'll phrase it this way. I don't even bother answering the cost estimate questions anymore or the square footage usually because I'm just like I don't have the information. I'm sick of these questions. I don't even respond to those anymore. I think a lot of other questions where they're like, where's the bathroom? Or like, what's the location of this place? And like, this would be answered if you actually watched the entire video, which clearly you did not. And also if you, it's like all the information is there. You just didn't watch it. So I don't answer those either because I'm like, you just didn't watch my video. I'm not going to waste my time to respond to you if you didn't even watch my video. And then basically everything else I will usually answer if it's like it's a question more about like me personally or my businesses or maybe something like relate to the host that they're comfortable sharing. But I would say honestly, at least like half the comments I get, I don't answer because they fit that criteria I just mentioned. Yeah. It's just not worth it. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, such a unique career path. I mean, one that I'd love to send my kids down. It's just like, look, go out there and live before you get tied down. Yeah. What has this done for you? As personally, I mean, what has this career path done for you as an individual, and what are the freedoms that it's given you? I know it's allowed you to travel, but it's got to be a little more than that.
Yeah, I would say it made me a much more confident person. Confident, better social skills. I mean, even just talking to you on this podcast right now, like we're just freeballing this. We don't have a script really. We're just talking off. I used to be scared to death of public speaking. Like scared to death. Like I would be in high school, if we get assigned a speech, I would be like, I couldn't sleep for a week. Like I was scared to death of public speaking. I just couldn't do it. And if you asked me, 5 years ago, like I would be a YouTuber now, I laugh in your face, honestly. Because now I love being on camera. I love talking to people. I can talk to almost anybody and hold a conversation. And I really enjoy it. So I would say this career in YouTube, it's just made me get out of my shell more. Again, get out of my comfort zone. The traveling thing, or going up to strangers, or coming down to this podcast. It's just gets me out there more socially and communication and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's been
awesome. Yeah, so that confidence of putting a video online for other people to critique and to watch, that was hard for me.
Yeah, man.
And I'll send the videos to Doug, my editor, and he'll send them back, and I post them, and I don't even watch them.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
We were on A&E a few months ago, and I still haven't watched those. So it's like I don't. I've had people say, "Oh, it was great," but I'm like, I'm just not going to know.
Oh no, it's like when I look back at my first ever video, and I'm like, oh man. But I mean, that's everybody, man. Like if you scroll back on, I guarantee any YouTuber that you subscribe to now and you like sort by oldest, you watch their first ever video, you're gonna cringe. But the most important thing is you have to start somewhere. You have to put out that first video. It's just you're never gonna get there, and you take the feedback. But yeah, my first video, like I shot it, I didn't post it for like months. I was like editing it like perfectly. Maybe I should reshoot this part and do this and do that. And eventually, I think it was Bobby or some other YouTuber was like, "Dude, just freaking post it. Like, what are you doing?" And I posted it, and everybody loved it, and I got great feedback. And then from there, I just grew and grew and grew. And if I look at the video I released 3 days ago versus like 2 years ago, it's night and day. But
and that's what we do. We have to take each time and say, okay, I didn't like it the way I did this, or I love the way I did this, and we just got to keep building on that.
No, I think it's also like being open to criticism as well. So what I do a lot is I'll just call up one of my YouTube buddies and be like, "Yo, I want you to roast my video." Like I do that a lot. Like I was with our friend Levi Kelly. This is like a couple months ago. I'll just like call him and be like, "Yo, dude, like this video didn't do well. Like what would you do differently, or like or what's this thumbnail and everything." Like especially in the earlier days, and it helped immensely. And Bobby and some of my other friends, Brett, I'm just like, dude, like this didn't do well, or give me feedback on this. Being open to that, because some people aren't so great at taking criticism. They take it personally. I really try to never take it personally and suck it up and make those changes. I respect those people's opinions and always be open to receiving that type of stuff. So,
awesome. Well, one of the things that I've really enjoyed about this path and building the unique vacation rentals, and it's allowed me to meet guys like you, my YouTube heroes. That I'm sitting there watching every week, and it's like the thing that really hits me is that y'all are great online, but you're every one of you has been really great in person as well, and just having that interaction and meeting in real life. It's just been great. So it's been a good opportunity for me as well. But if you were going to give somebody some advice, somebody new that's starting out in creating, if you're going to give somebody new that is starting out advice on content creation and building a business the way you have, what would that piece of advice look like?
I'd say a couple of things. So I would say one is like fail fast. Don't be afraid to launch new businesses or to try different types of content, new types of videos. Learn what works quickly, and if it works, cool. Double down on that, get better at it, improve. If it doesn't work, move on, find something else. Dozens of businesses that failed for me before I had my agency and I started YouTube. Dozens, if not more. So that's definitely one thing. The other thing I would say, and this is I think really crucial, especially on YouTube, especially for early YouTubers, is like really understanding how YouTube works before you start posting videos consistently. What I mean by that, one is doing your research. So it's, finding your niche, is extremely important. A lot of people, they'll be posting videos all over the place, all different types of niches, stuff like that. You need to find your niche as early as you can, and then research what the most, popular videos are in that niche. So for me, example, I was first starting out, again, unique Airbnbs. I just shot anything that was cool and wacky and crazy, which was the whole purpose of the channel, obviously. And I was shooting like UFOs in the beginning, like lots of like weird, wacky stuff, which is cool. It's unique, but I didn't think about it as much from a marketing perspective as like, is there a large enough of an audience that's actually going to watch this? And it was like some of the videos they were so specific and like too unique that they bombed. They did really, really bad. So what I then realized is, finding like my categories, and what that is the types of Airbnbs, having my container home videos, my A-frame videos. So for any YouTuber, it's like finding your niche and then basically finding like your categories or essentially your sub niches. I keep using the word niche way too much, but basically making sure you're putting out videos that actually will always have the chance to go viral. That should always be your goal. Is every single upload, I want to make this go viral, not just to post once a week and make sure you hit your upload. Every video should have the chance to go viral and be the best video possible you can to put out there. So I would say that's another big one. And probably the third piece of advice I kind of mentioned earlier is just like always give value in everything you do. That's another big thing. Again, with the zero expectation of anything in return, that applies to so many different things. To when you're pitching, for clients or trying to find mentors or launching your videos. So yeah, that's probably the three is fail fast, understand the back end or the logistics of YouTube, and just always give value. Those are probably my top three.
I love the value piece for sure.
Yeah, man.
So, all right. So a book that you've read or listened to that's had a big impact.
Ooh, I would say so I'm more of a podcast guy because I'm always driving a lot or on planes or stuff like that. And so I would say one I love is How I Built This by Guy Raz, NPR. And if not familiar, he basically just interviews like really incredible entrepreneurs. A lot of like name brand ones, so I interview the guys from like Airbnb, like Apple, IBM, all these different people that I look up to and companies that I use every single day. And he'll interview these people and some of these stories of how these companies were founded, or the trials and tribulations these people went through to start these like now billion-dollar companies is like mind-blowing to me. So that's definitely very inspiring. I like to listen to constantly. And the other one, which is kind of more just great to like stay on top of like YouTube and what's going on in the creator space, is the Colin and Samir podcast, which is a very creator-focused podcast. These two guys based out of LA, and they'll just basically interview some of my favorite creators. They'll interview these big YouTubers and also just talk about trends going on in the YouTube space, social media space, and just things that are going on. So those are probably my top two, I would say, is How I Built This and the Colin and Samir show.
Awesome.
So, yeah, man.
Mike, I appreciate you coming on. Looking forward to seeing everything that you've got coming down the line. Where can we find you if we're looking for you online?
Yeah, thanks for having me again, man. It's Mike Will Travel across everything: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok now. And if you're listening to this 2-3 years down the road, maybe it'll be Mike Will Build. So search for that too. So
good. Appreciate you coming on. See you guys next week.